Alright, I am about to start epoxying the tanks.
Gather round all you floaters, I got a story to tell. How 30 days in a boatyard turned into 13 months of hell. You know I got them low down boatyard blues.
Alright, I am about to start epoxying the tanks. As you can see, there is a lot of pitting, and basically the pitting occurred where bits of the paint, old paint, flaked off, and then the water was able to sit on the bare aluminium. I was filtering the water, but you know, it had probably chlorine and other things in it, and so it sits in there, creates like an electrical bath more or less, and that then eats away at the aluminium. So then we were left with all of this pitting. So the good news is that the hull is thicker here, so the pitting is not as dire in terms of welding it, which is good. So basically the plan is today to start epoxying it. We're using the West System G-Flex epoxy. So essentially what I'm going to do is we're going on to bare aluminium because there's not any primers that have been tested with it that we were able to get here. So anyway, we're going on to bare aluminium. So it's been freshly sanded. It's been hit with the burr to make sure all the aluminium's rough. Then I'm putting a layer of the West System G-Flex down, rubbing it in with a wire brush, a stainless steel wire brush. Is very important to use stainless, obviously, on aluminium. Then putting my coating of kind of the West System mixed with the filler additives. So we've got the colloidal silica and the micro balloons to make something that can be sanded if necessary. But these make it a bit more flexible. The good thing with the G-Flex system is it is a flexible hard cure, which is important because obviously the aluminium in the boat moves. Once that is tacky, touch dry, there's two options. One is to just put the fiberglass on top once it's tacky, depending how we're going for time. The other option is to put the peel ply on it so that we don't have to sand it. Gets rid of the amine blush and means we don't have to sand between layers. And then wait for it to fully dry and then do my fiberglass layers. So we're just going to see how it all goes since it's the first time in the first tank. Jim also spent a lot of time like making sure these tanks were perfectly clean. We want the barest, shiniest aluminium, which you can see it is now. So Dad's in the kitchen. Jim's drilling. All right, let's get started. And before putting anything down on aluminium and before sanding it, we give it a really good wipe with acetone or alcohol to remove any grease and dirt. All right, so I'm just mixing the epoxy hardener and the resin together, like so. And then we can start putting it in the tanks. And I'm gonna, for once, wear gloves, since I never do. It's very naughty of me. The West System technical advisors gave me the lowdown on exactly how to apply this product to aluminium. Scratching the surface helps ensure the epoxy really penetrates any aluminium oxide and also gets into all the little cracks in the surface, which helps ensure a good adhesion. This is the filler. I'm going to be using mostly this 406 stuff because we're not going to have to sand this down most likely, so I don't really need to use the micro balloons. So yeah, this is 406 like beaded silica, whatever you call it, colloidal silica, there we go. And this one's good for bonding. It's very structurally strong, but isn't so good with fairing, so it's hard to sand. now we can start layering this in. And basically we're just filling up the holes so they're smooth.
The West System G-Flex epoxy is mixed at a 1:1 ratio. However, I wasn't so exact with measuring the colloidal silica, adding just enough to form the slightly paste-like consistency that most fell easily into the pitting holes.
This also sets really quickly in this heat, so we've got to kind of mix like enough to be used, but not so much that it starts getting too hard to work with while we're going. Alrighty, so you can see I've coated all the bottom of the tank to fill all of the holes with the silicon, the colloidal silica filler and epoxy mix. And basically I'm just waiting for it to get a little bit tacky, and then I'll be coating it with my fiberglass over there and doing some layers of that. Hoping you guys can see okay, but I'm going to start layering up our fiberglass.
I was using a fine woven fiberglass that I'd pre-cut to size with a 3/8 nap small roller and the scraping tool to help smooth everything out.
Alright, we got 2 layers of fiberglass, and I also fiberglassed a little patch here that we previously had fixed with like WD-40 as a hole, so I've patched that properly with fiberglass, and now I just got to put the peel ply on.
How long do you leave it on for?
Oh gosh, I don't know how I cut this. The peel ply? Oh god. Seems like one of those things that's easier said than done. You leave it on for, I actually don't know. I have to have a look. How?
Did you just cut it long enough where you put it on and then it just comes up?
I just don't know why I only cut 2, because I don't, I'll definitely need a 3rd. I don't know. Who knows what I was thinking exactly?
You were probably planning 300 things.
I do that sometimes, don't I? Alright, peel ply is on, and that took, I started probably around 9:30, do you reckon? And it's about 12 now, so yeah, not too long. So hopefully if we can do that in each tank, it'll be good. We'll see. Well, we'll wait and see how it looks tomorrow, I guess. But yay! And Jim was painting upstairs and did heaps. Yay!
Heaps is an exaggeration.
You did heaps.
A section.
You did a section. Job's done. Woo! Alrighty. It's been 48 hours, and I'm going to peel this peel ply off. So let's start with an easy spot. But I'm hoping it'll be an easy spot. And so, might not be very easy to tell, but you can probably hear that. And basically the benefit of the peel ply is that we not only remove the amine blush, but with the little like crisscrossed pattern of the fabric, we also leave this a bit rough, which means that we can paint directly on it, and it's already abraded, no sanding needed, which of course is very nice with fiberglass because it's not fun to sand. for anybody. Looks good. So I've just got to cut one more fiberglass sheet out. I have covered myself in baby powder, which helps the fiberglass not enter your pores so much, but it still kind of gets everywhere. These two have been sanded to bright shiny aluminium, and I'll go set up for the epoxy part.
I pre-cut 2 layers of fiberglass and the peel ply for each tank, and also discovered that using 2 cups, one of hardener and one of resin, made the job a lot easier. It meant I could just mix small batches of the G-Flex in the boat without having to get up, go down the ladder and get more each time. As I said, it was setting really quickly in the heat here. I also found squishing the G-Flex into each corner and edge of the tanks first really helped hold the glass in place, while I then rolled out the flat part in the center.
Oh, you went for 2?
Yeah. I'm on fire. So, we've been busy this morning, and a few days ago we asked the marina about renewing our visa, because our visa is about to run out and obviously we can't go anywhere with COVID. And we were told a month ago, and by a lot of people, that we couldn't renew it until it had expired. So basically we thought it expires tomorrow. We thought we had plenty of time to get it done, obviously, because we can do it after that. Anyway, Memo, the marina manager, just finally heard back from immigration today, and they were like, yeah, they have to do it before they expire. So now we are basically packing everything up, have a taxi coming here to get us and take us to the border, which is over an hour away, and it's now 12:30 and we have to be there, have done the clearance, paid the bank, entered and exit the country, all by 4 o'clock. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Thankfully, we got our visa renewed easily that afternoon, and Jim continued his mission of painting Chuffed in her entirety, rolling and tipping and more rolling and tipping, and I continued my mission in the tanks.
Looking good. All right. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the final part of the tank. So I'm just, I've sanded it, I've cleaned it, and now I'm just mixing up the epoxy and the filler. Jim's still working upstairs, so we're keeping very busy. Mix it all up. Peel ply is in. Oh, and that is the last part of the tank epoxied. It is like 4,000 degrees in here, it feels like. It has been an epic job, but be worth it to have clean drinking water tanks. All right, now that all 5 areas of the tanks have the epoxy in the bottom, I am going to get ready to paint. We managed to find Amalock 2, which is a paint that was recommended and we found on a practical the Practical Boat Owner or Practical Sailors website, and Patrick Childress had written an article about painting his aluminium tanks, and he used this Emalock too. And he wrote the article 7 years after he did it, still in good shape. So we are hoping to achieve the same results. Yeah, so basically today the keys are making sure any area that has a little amine blush is sanded. So most of it's okay, but like it's hard to see on the camera, but right here, for example, is slightly shiny where the peel ply just didn't stick down all the way. So we just need to sand those areas so that there's something for the paint to adhere to properly. And then the aluminium, of course, needs to be sanded to bright and shiny and ready to be painted. We will not be using an etch primer. This paint should stick okay, provided that the aluminium is prepped properly, and because it's a smaller area, we should be able to prep the aluminium quite well. And the problem with using an etch primer when you then coat it is the paint company can no longer guarantee the potability of the water, whereas the Emalock 2, once it's dry, is okay for use with potable drinking water. So yeah, so that's why we're doing that. So yeah, we'll do at least 2 layers. I'm going to just do this single little tank area first, just to kind of give it a bit of a test. We got some ventilation all plugged in, ready to go. I'm going to be wearing like a big respirator mask when we go to do it, because it's not very good for your lungs, this stuff. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And then finally give the aluminium a wipe down with acetone before hitting it with our wire brush. So from now on we will be Darth Vadering it. If you thought that COVID masks were annoying, this is next level. But it means I won't inhale toxic fumes, so it's worth it, just like COVID masks. This is the Emalock resin hardener, 1:1 ratio. We'll get mixing now, and then we'll get painting. Alright, got the fans going, respirator on, paint's ready. Basically my plan of attack is to do all of the corners first, because they're going to be hard to get to. Then do kind of the top and sides with the idea that I can do the bottom last, so I can kind of use this to lean on as I get up in here. It's going to be awkward, but we're going to get it done. There we go, first layer of the first one done. In hindsight, I should have prepped the other one too. I really didn't know how long it would take, but that paint went on so easy. The painting took like 15 minutes. The prep takes a lot longer, the sanding, so maybe I can cover this and start somewhere else. But yeah, should be a pretty easy process. Alright, the first layer has dried, and the good news is you do not have to sand between layers with this paint if you do it within 30 days. So now we just get to whack on the final layer and the tanks will be done, which feels weird and exciting. Won't you come on over? Just making a fool out of me. Why don't you come on over there? How you doing it? You look a bit like a mad scientist, which is cool. So Jim has cut off the old part, because as you can see, it was very corroded. And although we made these holes cleaning it, they all went straight through where the aluminium oxide had eaten away at it, where the corrosion was. So it would have started failing us. And we've replaced it with a just with a plastic pipe going down instead. So hopefully that'll be much easier to look after. KBN. Okay, sweaty. So a job I have tasked myself with while the a job I have tasked myself with is while the welders are in, is cleaning all these screws that were used to hold the little kind of, what do you call them little things, the little kind of like hatches that go on top of the tank that you can take off to get inside the water tank. So these are good 316 or A4 stainless steel, and it has been a lot of effort to clean them. What I'm doing is putting them inside this drill bit and then holding that against like a wire brush to clean them. It's pretty time consuming. However, it is working well, and ironically, when I started doing this, a podcast came on called Planned Obsolescence. And it's all about how things like aren't made to last anymore, and how we're encouraged to buy new things instead of trying to like reuse things and all that. And so it was kind of one of those interesting things where, as I was cleaning up these old screws and kind of being like, is this worth it? They're still in such good condition. I really don't want to buy new ones when I've still got these ones. It's a waste, you know. That came on and really reinforced for me, yes, the consumer marketplace is already saturated. I can fix these. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Jim's sanding, as you could hear before.
Are you standing on something down there?
I'm standing on something down here. I am indeed standing on something down here. This piece of wood is now redundant. It was our tank cover, so we didn't fall in the tanks all the time, and now
We should just make it part of the floor for memories.
For memory's sake, because we want to be able to remember all these times. Yeah.
Yeah.
The lids are on. Yay! It feels weird to have that job finally done. Really weird. I think I'm in shock to have the boat actually coming like a little bit together. It's like I was saying to Jim, it's like a bit of a weird feeling now that we're actually close to finishing. Like I feel like we've been saying that for a really long time, but we haven't actually been close, and now we are. And it's like, I feel like I'm having like a weird getting close to finishing anxiety or something, where it's like, yeah, maybe it might be that like too good to be true feeling where you don't really want to like get too excited that it's getting close in case things go wrong, because it's kind of been a bit like that the whole time. But it seems like things are just finishing. It seems pretty strong.
You didn't fall through, so.
With the tanks done and Chuffed getting ever whiter and more beautiful, we can almost hear the sea slapping at her hull. We couldn't have done this without each and every one of you who supports us and watches our channel, so thank you all very much, and until next time, stay chuffed everybody.